Kershaw Cryo, I hereby apologize to this knife. I scoffed at this knife. I discounted this knife for a long time, and my bad. I saw this knife on the shelf of my local range. Actually, my dad saw it, and he asked me about it. He said, well, what do you think of this knife? And the only thing I knew about it was the $29 price tag that I saw on it. And knowing nothing about it except for the price tag, I said, yeah, that's probably it's not that good of a knife. And he said, oh, you're scoffing at it because of the price, aren't you? Because I have some more expensive knives and I'm kind of used to the quality. You know, with most things you get what you pay for. And he said, you're scoffing at it because of the price. And I said, well, maybe. And so I thought that about it for a long time until I was out at TDI, Tactical Defense Institute. And there was a guy there that had this little knife that he was playing with. And I said, oh, can I see your knife? And he showed it to me, and I was like, oh, well, that's a nice little knife. What is that? And he said, oh, I don't know. It's something Rick gave me. Rick Hinderer was there that weekend. He said, oh, it's something Rick gave me. He designed it. And so after looking into it, I realized it was a Kershaw Cryo. And I got to the price part of it, $29, and geez, it's a heck of a knife for $29. So I apologize. The knife itself, it has a suggested price of $49.95. The street price is closer to around $29, $30, $32, somewhere in that ballpark. And it is designed by Rick Hinderer. And you can see it has pretty much a good lineage down from, in this case, the 566 and back on before this, the XM18, which I don't have. And, it is not the same quality of knife. It's $120, $140 cheaper than the 566, and it's hundreds cheaper than the XM18, certainly. But you can see just where a lot of the design cues come from, where the lineage comes from, the shape of the handle, the shape of the blade, the flipper. It's clearly very much a Rick Hinderer design knife. Very similar in a lot of respects. The lock bar stabilizer, again, a lot of the stuff, very much Rick Hinderer lineage. So I picked one up, and again, heck of a knife for $30. It comes in several options. The first one that came out was a sort of grayish titanium carbon nitride finish. Also comes in a bead blasted silver, and then this black version. Uses for this knife, this is pretty much, I think, going to be it's in the budget everyday carry ballpark. It's a fairly small knife, a 2.75-inch blade. It's not going to be much of a self-defense knife. It's super quick to deploy with that flipper, with the speed safe flipper there. But for the most part, I think it's going to be an everyday carry type use. One of the downsides of this knife is the weight. It's a fairly small knife in your hand, but it is a chunky 4.2 ounces. And I think that's in part because of these stainless steel handles. Handles are 410 stainless, 2 solid pieces of steel, and they definitely add some heft and chunk to the knife. You could make it out of titanium. That would probably push it a little bit past that $29 price point, but it's a heavy little knife for the size of what it is. The handles, like you mentioned, stainless steel on one, and it's just a smooth, as you can see, kind of a smooth stainless finish. And because of that, there's no grip to the handles, and that's going to put it also in sort of that semi-light use, everyday carry type stuff. Because you're not going to get, other than just holding on to the knife, there's nothing you're going to be gripping onto it. If your hands are sweaty, they're going to slip around on it a little bit. So the handles, they have the standoffs here, and something interesting to design, the lanyard hole in the back here is also designed to function kind of as a standoff. So nice design feature there. Kind of keeps along with the aesthetics of the rest of the knife. On the other side, the pocket clip. This is a deep carry pocket clip, as you can see. The pocket clip is 4-way, tip up, tip down, right-sided or left-sided, however you want to carry it. The pocket clip is black, and I think it seems to be painted. My guess is that it's probably going to wear a little bit. The clip on my 566 is starting to show a little bit of wear around the edges, and I suspect this clip is probably exactly the same. They're very much the same design in the clip, just smaller. So I suspect this will show some wear with time, in and out of your pocket, stuff banging up against it. But so far it's held up pretty well. My only other beef with the clip is that it is super tight. I appreciate that there's a fairly decent lip here, so if you're going to put it over some thick pants into a pocket, There's some space to get stuff under there. However, the clip is crazy tight, and you really have to work to get it into your pants. If you've had this knife for a while, post some comments. Let me know if your cup pocket clip has loosened up some, but mine is quite stiff. Something that makes that stiffness not quite as bad is that because the handle is just this smooth steel, you're not going to have any underclip issues. If you had a clip this tight on like an Emerson with that super sharp G10, you would tear up all sorts of pockets. But because of this, fairly smooth, you're not really going to have any underclip issues there, and that's going to help with that. Opening on this, a couple options. Well, I really think there's just one option. There's a flipper here. The flipper here, you just flip it, and it has Kershaw's Speed Safe opening. There's a little spring assisted opening bar on the inside. You can unassisted if you want, but otherwise it opens nice and quick with that little flipper. Now there's these thumb studs here. I'm not really sure the point of the thumb studs personally, because I cannot use them to open it. I can't push them open with my thumb. I can't push them open with my middle finger. I just, for the life of me, I can't use them. So they don't work that way. And then when the knife's open, they don't work as to function stopping the knife, as you can see, because they don't make contact with the handle at all. So I'm not really sure the point of the thumb studs, other than knives have thumb studs, so you put them on there. But otherwise, for me, I can't get much use out of the thumb studs on there. Has a frame lock here, again, very similar to all the other Rick Hinderer designs. Has a frame lock, has a lock bar stabilizer here, which is a nice feature on a $29 knife. The frame lock, because this handle, again, going back to the fact that the handle is a little bit slippery, sometimes pushing this frame lock over, you may have a little bit of a tendency to slip off it, but overall it's not too bad. Gets to about there. That's where the detent from that assist bar kicks in, and then you have to push it closed the rest of the way with a little bit of force. But opens super fast every time. I have kind of medium-sized hands. You just need to make sure that, because it's a smaller knife, that your hand is out of the way so that when you flip it open, it doesn't catch your hand there. Fits in your hand, again, for a smallish, everyday carry type knife. The size in your hand, I have medium-sized hands. Not a bad size. The jimping up here on top, not super aggressive jimping. It's kind of rounded off. Your finger slides over it relatively well. And, I've not had any problems with my finger getting torn up on the jimping too much with flipping it open a whole bunch. There's also some jimping on the back of the handle here. And again, not too aggressive jimping in either case. The flipper does come down and becomes a little bit of a finger choil there. And then we can move down onto the blade. The blade is Chinese made, HCR13 MOV steel. It's a Chinese steel. And it's, it comes fairly sharp from Kershaw. The steel, it's a little bit of a softer steel, but after dulling, it will kind of sharpen up relatively easy. Throw it on whatever kind of sharpening device you have. Again, the blade shape, fairly similar to Rick's other designs. It's hollow ground here with a little bit of swedge up on top. Nice belly to it up on top there. I'm not sure of the finish on it. I don't think it's DLC coated. My blade has a few kind of light scratches there from a little bit of use. Maybe you can see. Not bad, but otherwise the blade's held up pretty well with some use, cutting some cardboard and things like that. Haven't really shown any big wear on the blade as of yet. How about this knife compared to some other similar options? Like I said, the only downside of this, one of the big downsides of this knife is the weight, and it's a chunky knife. And some other similar sized options, a Benchmade mini Griptilian. This knife, like I said, about $29, $30. The Griptilian is a little over $100. 4.2 ounces versus 2.6 ounces. Significant difference in weight between the Griptilian, but a huge difference in price. And, the Griptilian is going to be a lot more grippy as far as the handle goes compared to this steel. But this knife just feels this is just my opinion, not that I think I'm going to push the Griptilian to anything past what it can take, and maybe it's because of the weight on this, but this knife feels tougher just because of the construction, the weight, and maybe it's the handles on the Griptilian, but it just feels like it might not be quite as strong. Again, hard to say for sure. Another option, SOG Mini Vulcan, kind of a similar ballpark in size. This is also close to a $100 knife, 3.4 ounces. So both of these, while the Griptilian I guess is a little bit smaller, the SOG's a little bit bigger. The SOG has the Zytel handle, so that's going to take a lot of weight out of that. I like the blade shape on the SOG, but you know, when I got the SOG, I really liked it, and I still like it, but it just feels, and again, partially maybe it's because of the weight, but it feels like it's not as high quality of a knife as this Cryo. So I think that's about it for the Kershaw Cryo. I had looked at the different options. I kind of wanted a black knife. I kind of wanted a small everyday carry knife that seemed like it was awful tough. And after playing with the guy's knife that he had out at TDI, I thought, well, I'm going to get one. And for the price, I think you really can't beat it. It is a heck of a knife for around $30. So if you're looking for a budget-friendly, tough, everyday carry type knife, check out the Kershaw Cryo.